and I felt very inspired to come out and do a live stream. I haven't done a live stream all this week because I have devoted most of this week to doing Zoom sessions with all the people who've signed up to the support group, people who want to share their views and experiences on what is unfolding. So I did a session on Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. You may well have seen the first edition of that called 12th Night, and I'm mixing another one which I will hopefully upload later today, called The People Speak Out. But I felt very strongly that I wanted to just come on and jump on and come live and just share my intuitive feeling that the walls are tumbling down. And so interestingly, the first thing I come to as I walk is to see this dry stone wall. Can you see? It's come tumbling down. So I'm always looking for signs from the universe. This is, wow, pretty heavy stones. So they've tumbled down. That must have happened overnight. I'm going to have to try and clear those because that's a turning point for this lane. It's difficult. This is at the end of a little lane, and it's difficult to turn around here. Anyway, I'm going to go into the field, and please bear with me because this feels very important, what I'm going to share. So just to say, it takes me quite a while to edit. You know, if you've ever done Zoom sessions and then you edit the content, I mean, I could just put it out, but I feel it's, I'm not editing it to censor it. I'm editing it just to make it more easy listening, cutting out the ums and the ers and bits of waffle, that just to make it easier for you to enjoy it, really. And when you do listen to that, it probably will be about 90 minutes long by the time I finished it, because it is 2 sessions combined, edited down, just to kind of really give you the highlights of what's being said. And oh, Jambo's sending me a message. At least hopefully you can hear me. Yeah, so when you do watch that, please do listen to the last 20 minutes. I've edited the last 20 minutes. The last 20 minutes is particularly powerful. So please do have the staying power, or skip to the last 20 minutes if you can't be bothered to listen to the whole thing. The really interesting thing about those calls is, you may know if you saw my plain vanilla video, I just basically said, I'm going to put a sign up on my website. I'm going to host some free Zoom calls. If you're concerned about what's going on, sign up, jump on and share with me. And I also asked all the people to come on to remain anonymous, to just put a pseudonym and an avatar, because I do feel that there's a stage in this that will be about facial AI recognition, and I'm happy to go public with my name and face, but I think let's not make it too easy for the AI facial recognition to know exactly who's speaking out about what's going on. So I didn't know who any of these people were. I just came to them at random based on their picture and their name. And you know what? There weren't any kind of rabid conspiracy theorists. There weren't any angry people particularly, just really sweet people caring about humanity and deeply concerned for what is unfolding right now. Because what is now happening, the level that this is being taken to, is truly terrifying. Now, when I was, I'll explain this, and I'll also explain my intuition about why I feel things are crumbling. So I was editing yesterday, and on my phone flashed up a news alert from The Guardian. The Guardian. London now declares state of emergency. Hospitals are overwhelmed. So that was kind of pushed in my face, and I thought, that's interesting. Let me just have a little delve into that. Let me just sort of see what's being pumped out. What's the latest thing unfolding? And there was something very interesting about that Guardian release, because I thought to myself, let me just double check to what the London Mayor Office actually put out. Let me just check the press release to see what was actually released to the people, and I'm assuming the press too, because there was a graph included in the Guardian article which was justifying what's going on, and that graph was not in the London Mayor's press release. At least I couldn't see it anywhere. Now, the interesting thing about the graph, the statistics included in that Guardian news alert, news flash, was it did not come from the government, the Office of National Statistics, or any UK body. It came from Johns Hopkins University, which is obviously based in America. And if you know about Johns Hopkins University, it is essentially the hotbed of big pharmaceutical. It's funded by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. And this graph, and I tried to find it actually on the Guardian website just now, but I did screenshot it, so I may well put it on my website or somehow link to it. But I screenshotted it because I didn't want to lose it. So basically, this graph from the Johns Hopkins University said that every day now there is something like 53,000 coronavirus cases in the UK, and that the blurb accompanying it said 1,000 in every 100,000 people now has coronavirus. So just think of that statistic. So 53,000, 55,000, it was a figure like that daily that are now being reported. So if 1,000 in every 100,000 people have now got coronavirus, that means to have got to that positive statistic of 55,000 people. A couple of beautiful ducks just flying over the field. Oh, they've gone away now. Beautiful here by the river. Really restores my soul. Talking about the quiet waters by. Let's just go on the bridge here. This is so restoring for my soul, these quiet waters of the river. Just have to be careful. This is just a plank river. You can see it's like walking the plank. So 1,000 in every 100,000 people have now got coronavirus, and 55,000 people per day have now got it. That's the statistics that are being pumped out. So what that means, if you scale that up, they must have tested 5.5 million people per day to get to that statistic. If it's a real statistic, if it's truly to believe to be real, they must be testing 5.5 million people per day, which is roughly 10% of the population of Britain. Now, this is the point about the statistics. They're all modelled and they're all estimated. Now, I took my son to a testing centre in Chesterfield because he is flying on business, and so he had to get a test. So we went to this testing centre, absolutely deserted. Absolutely deserted. No queues, no one there when we arrived, no one arriving when we left. So this 55,000 people every day who've got coronavirus, that's an interesting statistic, isn't it? Now, also notice the terminology, because if you read the articles being pumped out by mainstream media, they talk about coronavirus and coronavirus cases and all of the coronavirus and the new strain of coronavirus. But when it comes to hospitalizations and ventilators and ICUs, they then talk about COVID. So there's a mismatch between the terminology, because as we know, coronavirus is a family of thousands of viruses, probably at least 2,000 viruses, including the common cold. We will never eradicate coronavirus from the face of the earth, people. It's never going to happen. Coronavirus is never going away. So don't you see, this is quite clever, because when this started, it was COVID, 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 COVID. But it's been segued into making us frightened of coronavirus. And because they've now created fear around coronavirus, what that means is this fear is never going away. This is never going away. Now, the other interesting thing is there's this super spreading, deadly version of coronavirus, which is the cause of the problem. Have you noticed that they haven't given it a name? They said it came from South Africa. Well, actually, a guy came on the call, one of the people who came on the call this week. His father lives in South Africa, an elderly man who's got carers, and they come to his house to care him, a whole range of carers who come on the buses from the townships. No one's wearing a mask, and they've been looking after him for at least the past 6 months. There isn't an issue in South Africa. So why do you think they haven't named this new deadly virus? It's, it isn't COVID-20 or COVID-21 or SARS-CoV-2, or they haven't given it a name. Why do you think they haven't given it a name? Why do you think they had to change the COVID terminology into coronavirus? I'll tell you why, because a team of international lawyers took all the governments and the World Health Organization to account a few months ago. And if you've been following the World Freedom Alliance, the World Doctors Alliance, and there's a lawyer, I think his name is Rainer Fulmick or something like that, a German lawyer. They've been taking legal action because they have asked for scientific proof that PCR tests test for COVID-19, and of course they don't. They never have done. They only test more generally for coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2 virus, as I understand it, and even then they throw up huge amounts of false positives. So they've had to move the terminology from COVID to coronavirus as the kind of smokescreen. So now, when we're being all of these headlines being pumped out, coronavirus spreading the world, huge numbers of surges of cases of coronavirus is never going away. So my instinct on this is, and the reason why I feel the walls are tumbling down, why the wheels are falling off the bus. And by the way, I'm not doubting that there are viruses out there, and I'm not doubting for 1 second that people are falling ill. I mean, we've created the perfect recipe for illness in this country, have we not? I mean, I've just heard earlier this morning an interview or a broadcast by Brian Rose, who's running for London Mayor. He was saying that in London, the emergency ambulance service is attending 37 suicides per day. 37 suicides per day. We've created the perfect recipe for horrific illness in this country, not from coronavirus or COVID, but from mask wearing, injecting people with lethal toxins, depression, suicide, despair, dis-ease. I mean, if you know anything about health from a metaphysical point of view, dis-ease, literally, that is the meaning of the word dis-ease, disease, dis-ease. If people are feeling unhappy, vulnerable, depressed, despairing, they're much more vulnerable. Their immune systems, our immune systems are weakened by all of these things, by not coming outside. Stay indoors, don't leave your house. This is the best thing you can do, folks. Step outside, breathe, fresh air, no mask. This is nature's medicine. Chi. It's not just oxygen that you're breathing chi, and that's life force energy, nature, life force energy. People are being deprived of their life force energy, folks. So is it any wonder that the hospitals are being overrun? And the thing I want to just really leave and highlight on this, and this is why I feel that the walls are tumbling down, why they're having to create these, it's all gone to a whole new level of terror. I think they made a big mistake, because the Pfizer vaccine, if you are in tune anecdotally, you'll know that there are lots of horror stories coming out around the Pfizer vaccine. I challenge you, search on Google and try to find one single horror story about the Pfizer vaccine. Search under Pfizer vaccine, search under adverse vaccination reactions. You won't find a single thing. It's been scraped off the internet. There's a massive cover-up going on here, folks. So they've said, oh, the Pfizer vaccine, no, we run out. So it's all gone. It's all gone. They've had to pull it because they've rushed it out too soon, and this is what is causing a huge number of adverse reactions. Apparently in London, I think it was a statistic, I'm doing this from memory, in that article, it said there were 8,000 ambulance calls every day, and normally at this time of year they'd expect 3,700, and the number in hospital is like, across the UK, is something like 9,000 more than this time last year, or normally. Those kind of figures, they equate to the number of people that you would expect to have an adverse reaction to the Pfizer vaccine, based on the statistics that I shared from the CDC, which said if you inject 616,000 people with the Pfizer vaccine, which is what was declared on the 24th of December, so it's probably more than that by now, it was roughly 2.5% had health impact events requiring medical care. So there's your numbers. Now, I think we're in a really dangerous situation, because in administering all of those vaccines, the NHS, the doctors, the nurses, they've all been complicit. They've all been complicit in this. So, and please don't get me wrong, I'm not denying that there aren't people who are ill with flu, pneumonia, and virus symptoms. I'm not denying that. I'm just asking us to zoom out to the bigger picture. There's something much bigger going on here. And I think that with this panic, because that graph from Johns Hopkins University, instinctively I immediately thought corporate disaster recovery plan kicked into action here. Because this is big business. This is a big business for the pharmaceutical company, this and the big tech, to make this, to drive this through. This is big business. This is crucial to the plan, this mass vaccination rollout. And I just feel that the wheel has come off that, because they've pushed through the Pfizer vaccination. There's massive adverse reactions. They're having to cover it up by creating huge amounts of fear around coronavirus, explaining away all of these excess deaths. I have actually put a freedom of information request into the NHS asking for details of adverse vaccine reactions, and they've said they will come back to me in 20 days, and that was probably about a week or so ago. So as soon as that comes through, if they provide me with that information, I will certainly share it with you. So it's really important for us to stay strong, people. One of the really key things that came out of this, the meetings, the Zoom sessions that I did this week, 3 Zoom sessions, spoke to as many people as I could during each of those calls, and I will put those recordings out. But one of the things that really came through was the real importance of us to create local support groups or our own support groups. So many people through this have said to me, Rachel, thank you so much. Thank you for speaking out. I thought I was the only one who thought this. So when people come together in a group and every single person is saying the same kind of things, and these aren't rabid conspiracy theorists, they're people who are deeply concerned for humanity, deeply concerned for what's being done to our children, to our livelihoods, to the fallout from this. I mean, the economic fallout, this is going to be horrific when this fully bites. When all of these small businesses, they're not going to last. I mean, even this latest lockdown, they said, just till mid-February, just till mid-February. But when the law was passed, this was on Wednesday in the House of Commons, the law was passed allowing it to continue to the 31st of March, people. This is 3 months that is being imposed upon us at the most depressing time of year. Brian Rose was talking about Blue Monday. The 3rd Monday of January statistically is the most depressing day of the year, apparently. People are at a very low ebb. So one of the things I feel it's really important for us to do is to gather together, to share our experiences, to support one another. I know it's difficult to do that locally because obviously the lockdown means you can't step outside your front door. How can you gather locally? One woman actually said that locally she got together with 2 friends who were both questioning, and just the 3 of them started to gather just to walk their dogs. And slowly, as they were walking their dogs, more and more people, they just chatted to more and more people as they were out walking. And they've grown to 40 people, and they all gather at the same time of week, just happen to be walking out and doing their bit of daily exercise, walking and chatting, and just a little support group just to keep the hope and the faith going. So my version of that is obviously online. People from all over the world. A guy came on from Hawaii at 3 a.m. in the morning. You know, it's just like insane. Hawaii. Someone came on from Hawaii, stayed up till 3 a.m. in the morning so they could join the call. Oh my goodness. People, we have to join together. I don't feel that mass protests are the solution. I don't think marching is the solution. And we saw that in America, in the US Capitol. It's going to be very easy to demonize protests and marches. And already in there was an article in the Telegraph. I can't remember where I saw that, but there was an article, I think yesterday or today, saying they're about to introduce even tighter restrictions. I mean, short of telling us to stop breathing, I don't know how much tighter these restrictions can be. But I have a sense, I have an intuition that the new tighter restrictions are going to include something along the lines of people speaking out. I think that they're not just going to muzzle us with masks. I think they're going to introduce new laws which prevent us from questioning. That is my instinct. And that's actually one of the reasons why I wanted to come on this morning. So if you want to keep in touch with me, if you want to get on those Zoom calls, you can go to my website, rachelelnaugh.com. You can go to the homepage, or there's a special page as well, /sign-up. You can get on the list. It's completely free. There's only 100 spaces on my Zoom calls. And those first 3, I specifically made them I said to people, you know, these are specifically to be filmed and broadcast, but the ones going forward, I'm going to do them every Monday at 12 noon. They're not going to be broadcast. They are a support group, although I will film them and I will put them into the group for people who couldn't make it on the call for whatever reason. So if you want to be part of that support group, if you feel you'd like to share and just feel part of a group that is speaking out, then please do sign up. It's completely free. I mean, it actually felt like a shamanic sharing circle, almost like a group therapy session, actually. And I feel it's really, really needed right now. So many people are in a place of despair. We have to join together. It doesn't have to be huge. I mean, I said this on the call. It's very important. It doesn't have to be all 7 billion people. Just don't underestimate the taming power of the small. I Ching hexagram 9, the taming power of the small. Wind over heaven. There's a lot of esoteric wisdom in the I Ching. The taming power of the small. Things don't have to be big. Things don't have to be big. Look at an acorn. An acorn contains a whole forest of oak trees. Things don't have to be big, people. Let's not get hung up on this idea. It's got to be big. It's got to have millions. Got to get millions of people. No. Lots of tiny groups. Lots of little pebbles being thrown in the lake and the ripples going out. I really urge you, either join my group or start your own. Please do listen in later today to the People Speak Out video. I don't know how long it will be up for, but even if they try to drive those of us speaking out off social media, I will still continue to communicate via email. So if you want to get on that list, then please do sign up. I promise as well not to bombard you with any marketing stuff. I'm just not in that space at all at the moment. This is absolutely about my deep concern for what is going on, my deep concern for humanity, for the future that is being bulldozed through for us and for our children and their children, my grandchildren. I don't have any grandchildren yet, but one day, hopefully. So I deeply care about what is unfolding here, and we have to hold this resistance, not a violent resistance, it's absolutely peaceful resistance. We have to hold this, a little orb appearing on my face there. We have to hold this light. Yeah, there we go. Let's hold this light. Hold this light in my throat chakra. Sending you lots of love. Have a great day, and bye for now.